What's up everyone, this is Tyler with Rev Rides, and today I'm going to be showing you how to change the front and rear tires and tubes on your VSETT 10 Plus. So let's get to it. Today for tools, we're going to be using our fix-it sticks with a 3, 4, and 5 millimeter Allen. We're going to have a pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of side cutters, a flat screwdriver, a 1/2 inch drive ratchet with a 21 millimeter socket, Permatex blue thread locker, and lastly some black silicone to reattach our axle nut covers. Optional tools today are going to be this variable torque bit driver, and then also this 1/2 inch torque wrench. This is a Craftsman one. These are optional today. You can get by without them, but they definitely help keep you from over tightening things, which can be more of an issue than not getting things tightened up enough. If you have to go back and take this back apart down the road, you're gonna be a lot happier if you properly torqued everything. So both of these tools will definitely help out with that. Start by using your 3 millimeter Allen to remove the rear fender. And now with those bolts removed, we can lift the rear fender directly off. Use your 5 millimeter Allen to remove the nut brake caliper. If your tire is still holding a little bit of air, use your flat blade screwdriver to depress the Schrader valve and remove any air that may be in the tire. This is going to prevent the rim from being damaged when you split it. We're going to go ahead and bend the front cable clamp away. And now come in from the bottom and bend this rear cable clamp back. This can be a little finicky. We're just going to use our flat blade screwdriver and push it out of the way. Remove the rear axle nut covers. Use our 21 millimeter socket to loosen the rear axle nuts. Go ahead and remove these nuts completely. Use your needle nose pliers to remove the locking washers. Slide the rear motor off of the scooter and set it on a bench next to it. It helps to have a platform that has a hole in the center so that the motor sits more flat. Use your 4 millimeter Allen to remove the disc brake rotor bolts. These bolts typically have quite a bit of Loctite, so you're going to want to make sure that your Allen is completely set into the bolt. You don't want to strip these. If you feel like you're going to strip these bolts, it can be beneficial to apply some heat to help break the Loctite loose. Once the bolts are removed, completely remove the disc brake rotor and set it to the side. Removing the disc brake rotor is going to help us get the tire off of the wheel. It's also going to prevent the disc brake rotor from getting bent during the process of removing and reinstalling the tire. Use your 4 millimeter Allen to remove the split rim fasteners. Just like the disc brake rotors, these can be fairly tight and they do have Loctite on them. So if you do have an issue with these, please apply some heat so you avoid stripping the screws out. Once the split rim bolts are completely loose, you can lift the tire and the rim off as one assembly. Go ahead and remove the split rim from the tire and set it to the side. You may need to let a little bit more air out of the tube to just give it a little less of a shape so that you can get it out of the tire safely. If you're changing your tube because of a flat tire, it's a good idea right now to inspect for any punctures look for premature wear, and just try to understand why the tube was punctured. You don't want to have some debris left in the tire that just punctures your tube again. So it's really good right now to find the root cause. You can spray it with some soapy water and add some air to it and see if you can find, if you have a puncture, you'll have bubbles that will show where the puncture is. To remove the tire from the rim, go ahead and spray the sidewall with some soapy water and then just turn the motor sideways and force the tire up. You can push down on the motor with one hand, grab the tire with the other hand and just pull straight up, and it should come out relatively easily. Be sure to inspect your tire and look for any debris that may be lodged in it that could contribute to a flat tire in the future. Alright, so we're halfway there. We're ready to start putting our tube and tire back together. On your new tire, make sure to check the rotation direction so that you don't put the tire on backwards. Most tires have an arrow printed on the sidewall indicating the rotation direction. Use our soapy water to lubricate the sidewall, and we're going to push straight down onto the motor. This can take a little bit of wrestling around with the tire, but it shouldn't be too bad. Take your new tube and add a small amount of air just to give the tube enough shape to fit back into the tire more easily and prevent it from getting pinched by the split rim. We'll spray some soapy water on the tube just to help it seat itself. This will prevent it from being twisted and also will help prevent it from being pinched as well. Insert the tube into the tire with the valve stem facing the wiring side. Go ahead and lay the tire on the motor, and then we're going to attach the split rim. Want to make sure to insert the valve stem through the split rim, and then go ahead and line up your 6 bolt holes on the split rim with the motor. Apply thread locker to your split rim bolts. It doesn't take a whole lot, just a small dab on the end of the threads. Next, we'll insert the bolts into the split rim. And then we're going to push down on the split rim and then evenly tighten the bolts in an alternating pattern. So you don't want to just tighten one of them down. You want to get them all started here just slightly, and then just keep alternating with a couple turns at a time. This is going to evenly set your split rim, make sure that your tire is centered, and then it's going to prevent you from stripping any of the screw threads. We're going to take our Allen torque driver and tighten all of our split rim bolts in the same alternating pattern to 5 Newton meters. After that, we'll go ahead and inflate our tire to 45 to 50 psi. This is a good time to listen for leaks and just make sure that the tire is holding air and that we haven't done anything to damage the tube. Next, add a drop of Loctite to each of your brake rotor fasteners. Let's go ahead and flip our motor back over and attach our brake rotor. Just like the tire, the brake rotor has a rotation direction. There's an arrow printed on the brake rotor. It typically goes towards the motor, but it's always good to verify. Just like our rim, we want to tighten these bolts in an alternating fashion. And these will also be torqued to 5 Newton meters. Now we're ready to put our inner washers back on our motor. One of these washers does have a slot in the side, and that is for the wiring to pass through. So we're going to put that on the left side with the notch facing the wiring. Add the external washers with their tab in the slots on the swing arms. Add a drop of Loctite to each axle side. And then go ahead and thread on each nut by hand. We'll use our torque wrench with the 21mm socket to torque these to 40 foot-pounds. Now we can attach our nut brake caliper. We're going to slide it right onto the rotor, put a drop of Loctite on our fasteners, and go ahead and thread them in by hand. These fasteners, we'll tighten them down, and we're going to torque these to 5 Newton meters. Alright, so we're almost there. Go ahead and take your motor wiring and put it back into its channel, and then we'll use our flat blade screwdriver to just push the wire clips back into their place. And then last but not least, let's go ahead and put our fender back on. I'm going to put a dab of Loctite on these just so this fender doesn't come loose, and we're going to torque these to 3 Newton meters. To prepare the front, start by clipping the 2 zip ties that hold the headlight wiring to the main motor harness. Unwrap the cable sheathing to give a little bit of slack so that when we remove the fender, we can set it off to the side safely. To finish up the front, go ahead and wrap the cable sheathing back around the motor wiring and the headlight wiring. Fasten our new zip ties over the cable sheathing. And then lastly, add a small dab of silicone to each of our wheel nut covers and just press them back on. Give it up to 24 hours for these to cure. If you want to start riding immediately, I would recommend to leave the nut covers off and then apply them at a later time when you can allow your silicone to cure for 24 hours just to prevent them from falling off while riding. Alright, so that's going to do it for today. If this video helped you out, be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. If you've still got questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And then finally, be sure to visit revrides.com, your trusted source for recreational electric vehicles in the United States. I'm Tyler with RevRides, and I'll see you next time.